I want to go into this with the contextual information that there is no script, no pre-planning put into this video. I'm seeing red at the very concept of how we categorize ZZ variants. But before I get into this, I should probably address a different video where I also didn't do enough pre-planning. So I recently made a video about methods in their purest forms, and Athefray, he said there's no correct way to pronounce his name, so I'm going to pronounce it Dave. Dave said that there's a few problems in the video, a few things that I got wrong, that were all on the method library, so I should have consulted that before I made the video. Really, this is what I get for like not consulting the method history guy before making a method history video. So the mistakes were that the earliest form of CFOP he was able to find was one in 1979 with the development of cross on F2L that was on bottom, so there's no cross on top, cross on side, cross on bottom. Evolution failed to solve. That's just Friedrich as an individual. That's not CFOP as a method. That wasn't how it was originally proposed. And the ZZ history is a bit more complicated. Basically, I was missing a link, so I knew personally that ZZ history went from Brian Heiss to Ron van Bruggen to Zbigniew Spodolski. I was missing the earliest link, which was Gilru working with Adam Gehin. I've probably pronounced that last name wrong, but I'm in such a fuming mood I can't be bothered to look up how it is pronounced, so I'm just going to call him Adam. So Adam and Rue had been experimenting with EOL and F2L and last layer, and Heiss had assumed that Adam solved in the video was just CFOP and all the edges were oriented by accident. So Heiss proposed a method based around that, but the video was deliberately EOL. So, while it's still a simplification, it basically goes from Rue and Adam to Heiss to Ron van Bruggen to Zaborski. I knew the last three links there. I didn't know about Adam and Rue working together. Again, that's all on the method library. That'll be the first link in the description. Now, I am fuming at ZZ variant classification because it is at best arbitrary and at worst just straight up misleading. Like, it actually sucks. And I'm going to be making a video. It's going to be talking about different ideas and methods of cubing, and I know that 95% of the cubing community only cares about one thing: how fast is it? So I tell you what, right? That's not what this video is about. That's not what most of my videos are about. But I always get asked about it anyway. So you know what? Whenever I talk about a method, or not method, a variant for ZZ that is actually good for speed, I'll mention it. I'll just say, hey, this one's good by the way. Anyway, let's go. Right, so the first thing we have to know is that we denote different ZZ variants by giving them letters. But we also have 4 families of variants that embody different ideas that are also marked with letters. So let's talk about this. We have A, B, C, and D as variant families. And these families concern different ideas in cubing, like the D family is to do with early corner permutation, the C family is to do with orienting corners, things like that. So let's quickly run through these families. Quickly. So ZZA, which is good for speed, well, the variant itself is E across F2L and then ZBLL. So it seems the idea for the A family is to keep F2L and last layer separate, because that's a property unique to the A family. All the other families don't do that. So like that ZZVH, where you do COLL and then EPLL, would be in the A family. ZZOP, where you do OCLL and then PLL, would be in the A family. And if you used COLL plus 1, there isn't a name yet for using this particular alg set. We don't have a name of a new variant for using a different alg set. Can we keep it that way? That would be in A family. Yeah, the A family. The interesting thing to note is that we have 3 named variants there: ZZA, ZZVH, and ZZOP. These have all had these names for different reasons. ZZA is arbitrary, ZZVH is named after proposers of an alg set, and ZZOP is named after the steps. Again, these naming systems are arbitrary and they're only going to continue to get worse. Okay, so let's look at the ZZB family. ZZB is based around phasing edges. That means that when you solve your last slot, you're solving edges as well. The flagship variant for this family, like the way the flagship variant for ZZA is ZZA, the flagship variant for ZZB is ZZB. And what ZZB itself is just solving 2 opposite edges while inserting the last pair. And this reduces ZBLL down to 169 cases. Unfortunately, the average reduced to ZBLL case is worse. Like, it's worse on average than regular ZBLL. So you're putting in recognition during the last slot to get less algs, but you get worse algs. You can do it intuitively with 3 very simple inserts if you build the F2L pair. If you don't want to build the F2L pair, you have to learn algorithms to phase to get a reduced algorithm set, at which point just learn ZBLL, it's better. You also lose slot neutrality by learning the algorithms unless you mirror them all, at which point learn ZBLL, it's better. Moving on from the variant ZZB, within the family ZZB, we have super phasing, which is like ZZB, but you solve all the corners instead of just 4. So there's more cases while you phase, there's more phased edges, there's a more reduced alg set, and they're even worse on average. Last 4 corners is not a good alg set, even though it contains the last 3 corners, which it is. And speaking of last 3 corners, let's segue to the next variant in the ZZB family, which I'm just going to call NLSB. We're not naming it that, that's not the name of the variant, that's the name of the alg set you use in the variant. But we're not calling it ZZ NLSB, because that's a lot of letters and there's 2 bloody hyphens. We're not calling it that. We're not. So, what is NLSB? So NLSB is you get to last slot, you build a tripod block in the U layer. If you don't know what that is, it's like a 2x2x1 block in the U layer, so it belongs on the U layer. And then when you go to insert your last pair, you're going to do an alg set called NLSB, which will phase edges while inserting the last pair. But because it phases like 2 opposite edges, but you already have a 3rd adjacent one solved, it means the 4th one will by default be solved. And because you're preserving the tripod block that you built, you're also going to have a corner solved. So it reduces the cube to last 3 corners, or like every 54 solves, it reduces it to just being a solved cube. Last layer skip odds are mental, but yeah, there's that. The difference is that it's like a 7-step method as opposed to 6. Like you look at like ZZB and it's like ear across, pair, phasing, ZZLL. And you look at NLSB and it's like ear across, pair, tripod block, phasing, L3C. Oh yeah, no, that's something to mention. The name for the alg set you reduce to in ZZB, the variant ZZB, not the idea ZZB, the alg set you reduce to in the variant ZZB is called ZZLL. ZZ last layer is the name of the alg set you get when you do a particular niche unpopular ZZ variant that reduces the last layer cases, and it doesn't describe the name of the the set of cases you can get for last layer when just doing regular ZZ. That's called ZBLL. And ZZLL is a misleading name. Okay, you see how it gets worse. Okay, right, so we've talked about A, we've talked about B, let's move on to C. So, C, as an idea, is based around orienting stuff during last slot. Alright, cool, that's chill, we like that, I like that, I'm doing a lot of that. Its flagship variant is... God knows honestly. So you have its namesake, ZZC, which is where you do OLS, and that consists of orienting all of the corners on the cube while you solve your last F2L pair. So it basically forces an OLL skip to ZZ. It's 502 algorithms. Oh, but Swagrid, that just sounds like winter variation, that's 27 algorithms. Nope, this is for every F2L case, every single one. So, it's 502 algorithms, forces an OLL skip. Cool, whatever. But that's, significantly superseded in popularity by ZZCT, which is, you insert the last edge while orienting corners, and then you permute everything. So, is that the flagship variant for ZZC? I mean, the jury's kind of out. I mean, no one's actually learnt full ZZC before, the variant. People have learnt and used full ZZCT. I recently got the official world record for ZZCT method, average and single. However, if you want to think about speed, the only variant in the ZZC family that's considered to be able to hold a candle to ZZA, the only one that's considered actually quite good for speed, is C++, which is where you learn which OLS cases are better to do OLS and which are better to do TSLE. Which, for some reason, people have this misconceived notion that you have to learn full OLS to do ZZC. No, you're not doing full OLS for ZZC. You're doing TSLE cases, and people have this idea that you will decide in the solve whether you're going to do TSLE or OLS. Like, you will look at the case and you'll be, it has this TSLE alg and it has this OLS alg. No! You learn OLS outside of solves, don't you? So when you see an OLS alg that's like 12 moves and the ergo sucks, but it's a 4-mover TSLE, you're going to think, oh, I just won't learn this one, and then you'll do that for TSLE. You get to last slot, you recognise the OLS, and you do your pre-planned solution, whether that solution is OLS or TSLE. You don't have to learn the full OLS, and you don't have to make a conscious decision in the solve. Let me give you an example. These are both OLS cases, okay? I consider myself to option select between ZZC and CT a fair amount, but I wouldn't say I'm a full C++ user because I don't have the whole thing planned out. But I do a lot of like OLS tricks, so I'm not a bad person to regard to for this, right? These are both OLS cases. When I reach these cases in slots, I don't sit and look at them and think, well, it has this OLS solution, which is this good, it has this TSLE solution, which is this good. And if we're saving this many moves on average, we have to go to a subset. No! I look at this, I think this OLS is good, so I chose to use this one. Or I look at this and I think this OLS is bad, so I chose not to use this one. I did the TSLE out wrong because I have to mirror. Or I look at this case and I see and I recognise the OLS and I know I don't do OLS on this one. There's no conscious decision being made, it's all organised already. Okay, but with that ran out the way, the C++, you option select between C and CT, and that's considered to be the most optimal one for speed. So is it the namesake? Is it the popular one? Is it the fast one? I don't really know. I mean, it's certainly not C#, which is what I've been able to gather, where you just insert an F2L pair with a misoriented corner, and then you do PLL, but also like oriented 2 corners. It just kind of sucks and no one likes it, so it's not that. But it's one of the other 2. One of the other 3, sorry. Okay, so that's the mess that is ZZC. Let's move on to ZZD. ZZD, as an idea, is about early corner orientation. I'm sorry, my sunglasses have like a protective film layer on them. It's been peeling for months and it's actually starting to hurt wearing these. I'm going to get new ones.
Hi, hello, hey there. I interrupt my own current ramble. Well, I guess it's an intermission amidst the ramble. But I interrupt my own current ramble to tell you about today's video sponsor. Your mum. And her mum as well.
Right, so ZZD, as an idea, it's about corner permutation early on in the solve. The variant ZZD is where you do it during last slot. You do CPLS, corner permutation last slot. So you'll insert the last pair while doing it, and in full ZZD, that's done from any F2L pair. There's a more beginner-friendly version called Orbit. You have different variants like Porky and Porky V2 that both do it differently. There's gotta be more, right? 2GR, I think that does it in like inspection or something. Yeah, I'm pretty sure 2GR like does it in inspection and you build out EO and that you do all that. And the ZZD area isn't so bad. It's just again annoying that the idea ZZD is named the same thing as the variant ZZD. Oh, and then there's the other variants. Yeah, no. We have these 4 families to discuss the different ideas, and we have a whole bunch of variants that just exist. You had ZZ Snake pattern, which is where you did EO line, right block, Z rotation, right block again, then last layer, which got shortened to ZZ SP, which then got changed to ZZZ because it's funny. And yes, I want everyone to know, whenever you type that, every time I read that variant name, this variant name here, I read it in my head as ZZZ. You can't stop me. But anyway, that got renamed to that because it was kind of funny, and it's also because you do a Z rotation throughout the solve. Then you have tripod, which is a variant where you build the tripod like in NLSB, and then instead of doing NLSB, you just do an outset just called NLS that just inserts the pair and does nothing else, and then you have a reduced ZBLL set. Oh god, yeah. Oh, you had another, you had ZZ Pi, the Pi proposed, shout out Pi. Yeah, I don't remember how it works, but I know it has something to do with like front right and back right edges, I don't know. You know what, I'm pulling up Speed Solving Wiki, it's a largely outdated website, but maybe the wiki can help me here. ZZ Top, ZZR! ZZR is so bad. So you would think the name like ZZR would be a completely different idea, right? New variant, new letter, new idea. No, it's beginner ZZB. So beginner ZZB is called ZZR, beginner ZZD is called Orbit, and what ZZR does is it basically does the whole phasing, but then instead of ZZLL, which is a reduced set of, instead of doing ZZLL, which is a reduced set of ZZ's LL, It's it just does OCLL that preserves the phasing and then reduce PLL set. What else? ZZ blah, where you deliberately misorient corners, so you can use P, pi, and H subsets of ZBLL, which is used because it's like the least amount of algorithms you can use. Not like the least, but it's a reduced algorithm set for like last layer, but it forces two of the worst ZBLL sets with pi and H. I think some old school like MGLS and EGLS stuff. You got ZZHW, which was the predecessor to CT, which doesn't have C in the name, but it's because CT was the initials for Chris Tran, which coincidentally happened to line up with being a C variant. But the predecessor for that was HW, which is like his pseudonym Humphrey Whittington's-worth, the fourth. So that was ZZHW. Hey, they changed the name of the Elk to Waddle on the wiki. Hey. Oh, ZZ Zipper, yeah, that exists completely outside of everything. You get to last slot, you solve the 5 corners, and then you do last 5 edge permutation. I learned last 5 edge permutation, it's quite nice. Oh, ZZ Zero! That's funny, I'm not even going to talk about that. Yeah, then you get absolutely random ones like Portico, where you just solve EO and the down back edge. And then you just do EO line F2L and solve the down front edge. You have ZZ4C, where you solve like something set up to like ULUR, like you solve EO and like ULUR block build CML, you do like M2 to solve ULUR, and then you're in 4C. Yeah, Jesus Christ. So, hopefully this has gotten across the point that the terminology and naming system in the ZZ method is awful. And this isn't exclusive to ZZ, this is all over cubing, but it's best demonstrated within ZZ because there's so much jargon